There was once a kingdom in Africa so powerful, it rivaled Rome, yet you've probably never heard of it. Why? Because someone wanted you to forget. This is the kingdom of Aksum, Africa's forgotten superpower. It once stood shoulder to shoulder with Persia, Rome, and China. But unlike those civilizations, Aksum has been buried in silence. But how did it disappear? Why did history erase it? Today we uncover the rise and fall of an empire that shaped the world and then vanished.
The person who grew up without guidance will find his mouth sleeping instead of his foot.
Aksum rose around the 1st century AD, evolving from the DMT civilization in modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. It became a buzzing hub for trade, sitting right between Rome and India. But Aksum wasn't alone. To the south, the Himyarite kingdom in Arabia wanted control over trade too. Conflict was inevitable. So what do you do when your empire's future depends on who owns the sea? You fight.
Calm seas do not create skillful sailors.
They didn't just fight at sea, they fought at the ledger, at the weight scale, in the shadow of stonework, where trade and betrayal touched the same scroll. Aksum was heavily surrounded. Spies were sent. Battles on land and sea popped off at any given moment, out the blue, for no reason at all. If you blinked wrong, there was a battle. Aksum had a formulated strategy, sharper than the parliament force. Every motion was measured, every silence loaded. No warning, no mercy, no retreat. There were no calm days, just quiet tension, buzzing beneath the surface like a storm waiting to break. They didn't wait for diplomacy. They were the storm before the speech. While the scene held calm, tension lingered in the air. The men, marked by duty, spent their hours deep in the hunt, while the wives carried the rhythm of daily life across the palace courtyard, open to all, alive with fruit, chatter, and children in motion. The stillness was never idle. It watched, remembered, and waited. This wasn't just a trade war. It was a battle for the soul of Africa's future giant. And Aksum, it was just getting started. Around 270 AD, King Indubis made a bold move. He minted coins, the first African kingdom to do so. They were found as far as India and Israel. Aksum was global.
Where man is, disagreement follows. A partner in business will not put an obstacle to it. An eye and a friend are easily hurt. The best of mankind is a farmer, precise. The best type of food is fruit, rich and nice. Grains and wheats, from toil arise, sugar and spice. Everything thrives, everything wise.
On the trading tables of Israel, merchants weighed spices beside the mark of Indubis. In India, silks and incense changed hands with an Aksumite seal in their palm. King Indubis cast the first Aksumite coins, not just minted metal but proclamations in circulation. 2 inscriptions define their statement in Koine Greek. Left face, Aksomito Vele, King of Aksum. Right face, Ndivi Vele, King Indubis. More than mottos, these were minted mandates. Every time a coin was used, a transaction made, a deal sealed, Aksum grew stronger. With every exchange, Aksum's currency didn't just travel. It was saluted, honored, and recognized. Not for gold alone, but for what it represented: power and trust. Each coin minted wasn't just currency, it was a command, a signal. Aksum had arrived.
Do not demand that what you write in the Nile will be read in the desert. To one who does not know, a garden is a forest. One's harvest is just as rich as trade at the port, or swords in the mist, as grain in the vault, or coin in the fist.
It wasn't just political power. Aksum ruled the Red Sea and far beyond. No civilization traded without knowing its name. No empire overlooked its echo. The kingdom had flourished across Somalia, Djibouti, Libya, Egypt, and Sri Lanka, all trading with minted Aksumite gold and silver currency, just to name a few. 3 continents bowed not in submission, but in recognition. Then came King Ezana in 330 AD. Under his reign, Aksum became Christian, long before Europe did. Churches were built. Culture shifted. Frumentius, a Syrian Greek captured and raised in Aksumite court, became bishop and lit the fuse. Ezana didn't resist, he inscribed. Coins minted with the cross, inscriptions carved in Ge'ez. Churches rose from basalt and belief. The Orthodox Tewahedo Church was born. Imported, but indigenous, not borrowed but built. Inside its walls, murals of saints, apostles, and crucifixion scenes painted in ochre, indigo, and blood-red truth. But change brings resistance, and with power growing, so did the threats.
When the Red Sea knows a secret, the desert will soon come to know it too.
And then came war again. Between 514 and 542 AD, King Caleb led a massive campaign across the Red Sea. Under orders from the Byzantine Empire, he attacked the Himyarites to protect Christians. While Aksum commanded the seas, it conquered the land. Its power was overwhelming. Rome couldn't beat Aksum, so it joined them, especially in the reign of King Calab. The Himyarites were falling, their defeat sealed as Aksum expanded its reach across Arabia and the Red Sea. Victory was his. At its height, Aksum's empire stretched over 2.5 million square kilometers. Aksum was not playing. It proved its dominance on land and sea. The empire knew, and showed, that the purest form of any civilization is currency that holds weight. And Aksum had just that. Aksum's currency wasn't just trade, it was power. And power is the highest form of authority. But even fire dies. By the 7th century, trade routes shifted. New Islamic powers took control. Aksum's port dried up. Its capital went silent.
Where there is no shame, there cannot be any honor.
The story of Aksum is a warning and a lesson. Power can be real but still forgotten. Culture can thrive but still be silenced. Strong trust through trade, but still, it can be broken. The harbor once roared with voices, now whispers. The handshake sealed fate, but the blade came after. The drums of alliance beat loud, until silence took the rhythm. Aksum does not beg to be remembered. It waits for the worthy to listen. Power was real, but real power does not scream. It watches from the ruins, from the stone, from the silence. The fire was put out, but the ritual was not. The port dried, but the memory flows deeper than water. So next time you hear about great empires, remember, Africa had one that rivaled Rome, and its name was Aksum.
When the heart is overflowing, it will come out through the mouth. The lion does not roar when it strikes in shadow. It leaves silence and a legacy.
You thought Aksum was a small tribal kingdom. Number Aksum was imperial, one of the 4 great powers of its time. It minted its own currency, built towering obelisks, controlled Red Sea trade routes. It rivaled Rome, Persia, and China, not forgotten, buried. You ask yourself, did they really have diplomacy? The answer is yes. Aksum mastered diplomacy through coinage, commerce, and coded alliances. They traded with Byzantium, India, Arabia, and all of Africa. Their trust was currency. I assure you, by watching the full content, if you stayed, you didn't just watch, you witnessed. You came with questions. You left with answers. You entered with assumptions. You exited with legacy. And if you felt the silence, then yes, it was worth every second. If you learned something new, drop a like, subscribe, and tell us, what empire should we uncover next?